opinion, as in like say like you can only say if you have to say something, you have to say positive and a negative, you know, something like that, or you don't say anything at all. You know, I feel like the amount of people who actually believe this is a terrible patch with terrible maps and Zerg will dominate for the rest of time would be kind of low. But I think it's not just people being influenced. I feel like it's also people, I don't know, kind of like compounding on each other, I guess. So yeah, being influenced, but just kind of in the worst way possible. You know, it's not someone who's going, oh my god, this is the worst thing ever and everything's gonna suck. Another person goes, okay, well, you know, let's take a second here, let's calm down, let's see what the issue is, you know, explain with your words, use your words. It's them saying, it's gonna suck. And then another person saying, no, you suck. Another person going, no, they're right, this fucking sucks. I suppose, very boomer take on things, but it just feels like people are getting more polarized and antagonistic. Because of a video game, which most of the people being the loudest about don't even make their money off of. Anyways, bottom left of Royal Blood, we have Liquid Clem. Top right, it is ShoWTimE. Speaking of people who actually make a living off this game, I actually have not heard too many pros' thoughts and opinions on this. I have watched a couple of streams where they've touched on one or two things, but I guess I also watch some of the more mild-mannered pros, I don't know. I do also think not only that, like, because I'm thinking of like ShoWTimE and Disc right now, they're very polite people. I think also in general, pros have been very much deterred from being loud, loud and obnoxious. It just never ends well for them, right? Controversy gets views, yes, but it also gives you unnecessary anxiety, and I think a lot of pros share that same sentiment. So we have Harsum, a full-time professional Protoss, who also plays very high ranks in other races, sure, but I think there's a little bit in him that's like, I need to be fair, I need to be as freaking fair as possible. Because then everyone's gonna yell. Which people still do anyways, so, you know, there's arguments. But I have not heard all that many big complaints. And usually, if it really is big, someone will say in the most polite way possible, you know, ShoWTimE will tweet, hey, at ESL, I'm kind of concerned that Zerg would be too strong with both of these things in mind. I would love to have a discussion with you. Signed, ShoWTimE. It just hasn't happened yet, so I don't know. We do have a little bit of a fast start to this particular best of 3 PvT. ShoWTimE going for a proxy Stargate. A little bit out of the norm, the expected for ShoWTimE. In terms of proxying it, he has been very much favoring the Stargate openers, though, so that's not surprising. I don't know if Clem has counted the Adepts yet. He has not gotten in far enough to 100% confirm that it is not a Stargate. Well, actually, he did. Sorry, that there's no technology, to be very clear here. He did get in far enough to see that there is no technology, because that's the first pylon, nothing was around it, and this is the second pylon, and the only thing around that was as a gateway. So he might have been figuring out in his brain, but still not knowing exactly where the proxy was coming in. His Marines were not in position. That he has a Viking and a Cyclone on the way, which certainly leads me to believe he very quickly picked up on something being proxied, what would be proxied while you're still going up the 2 bases, and getting Adepts, a Stargate. 4 SCVs still go down, ShoWTimE still has the Oracle alive. There was no boogeyman popping out of the closet, giving you a jump scare, killing 10 SCVs, but it is an effective opener so far. Patch sucks so much, Hoover sued it. Oh, that's lovely. I gotta steal that one. Going into Phoenix is a bit more of a change-up. I don't watch all the ShoWTimE games, to be very clear here, but he does often go Stargate into Twilight Council, but just generally been very much favoring Stargate more than Twilight Council first. That's a 65-35 split. I gotta be so careful about math on stream, guys. So, but the Phoenix, I think, are a little less popular for him. Not totally abnormal. The point is, Clem knows what to do against this particular style. We are on Royal Blood, which I believe is under the standard map section. So we're talking about a slightly larger map than some of the other ones, like the rush distance maps. We're also talking about not just rush distance being longer, but the actual size of the map. There's a lot of space to the left and the right. Shonen's going to take a triangle base, continuing to harass and scout with his Phoenix. It has been, you know, pretty much all ShoWTimE here because of the way it opens, right? And that's one thing Stargate, proxied Stargate in particular, is going to give you, is a stronger grasp of the early and mid game. There are a few things that Terran can do to kind of subvert that. You know, they can go for multiple Cyclones, multiple Vikings, run across the map and try and kill you. Or at the very least, take care of your third base. But when it's a larger map, then that might be a little less likely, right? And this is not just a larger map, it is also one where, let's see here, you gotta go this way, and that way, and down here, and over here, and then you're up the ramp, and then you're in the base. And you also have to force your way up a ramp because the tank siege down here would hit the assimilator, and that is it. So nothing particularly important. By the way, these look, I feel like I'm trying to decipher a baseball team's logo when I look at these things. It's like, it's not anything like a baseball logo that I can think of. Maybe like Chicago, I guess, a C. It makes me think that I'm not sports ball enough. What is that logo? Anyways, Stargate's gonna be killed, which I think is worthwhile. Most likely, ShoWTimE would have stopped at 5 Phoenix, but if you do get to kill all of them, then it might have been worth ShoWTimE. It might have been worth for ShoWTimE to get 1 or 2 just to guard his bases, his perimeters. There we go. And maybe do a little bit of scouting. He'd be in a shitload of trouble if all of his Phoenix died, of course, so it'd be good either way, but yeah. Supposedly, ShoWTimE should never lose a Phoenix. Clem should get that Stargate kill as a freebie, take away a proxy pylon as well. And the game continues on because Clem did not try and dedicate to any type of 2-base all-in. He got his 3rd CC rather quickly, and the Phoenix have been tracking that the entire game. They haven't been tracking those Widow Mines. Nicely placed Widow Mines there. So in total, with that Phoenix down, we still have a much better game for ShoWTimE, who's just killed way more SCVs than I was really counting. Damn, I missed that. 14. Or I guess 8 or 9. Okay. Taking off the scouting marines as well by the looks of things. Planting down stasis traps. Doing all the things that makes a Protoss a good Protoss. Damn fine gaming. Positioning himself where their attack might come while having spotters and stasis traps on the other location. This is one of the first things that's going to trip anyone up when they get onto new maps, is knowing the key attack paths. So you might first enter into a map and say, oh, I guess they'll attack from here, and then they'll attack from somewhere else, and you'll kind of hit yourself in your head and be like, of course they'd attack from there, that's why that works. These guys have been playing on these custom maps for a full week at this point, almost. Because they've actually known about them before we did. We're gonna have an engagement, so I'll talk more about that in a second. Colossus charging forward with the Zealots, actually maybe targeting the bio. Oftentimes the Zealots will eventually melt, but the Archon's still strong with no EMPs take them down, and it's up to whether the Colossus are getting their shots or not. In this case, I would say this has gone rather swimmingly for the Protoss. They will lose both Colossus towards the tail end of the engagement, but basically what you wanted to have happen there for Clem was you wanted to have the Vikings already shooting the Colossus before the engagement even really started. Obviously, if you snipe 1 or 2, that's brilliant. Attempted SimCity here from Clem is quite cute, but ultimately not going to save his life. ShoWTimE does have a Warp Prism coming along, even further along. Disruptor is going to strike, get 3 Vikings. That's a pretty nice one, actually, and is saved by the Warp Prism. GG. ShoWTimE. Very, very clean. Game number 1. Very clean. Clem looked kind of a little bit clueless, actually, which happened last week, didn't it? It was very weird seeing Clem be so non-engaged. He wasn't the one constantly pressuring the Protoss. I feel like some of the Protoss have picked up on one of Clem's big weaknesses now, and maybe one of them is ShoWTimE. But yeah, a couple points. So when I said that they knew about the maps where we did, just wanted to clarify on that. They did. They got told. I don't think any of the casters did. Not that it's more important they know, obviously. So they've been practicing in secret, and then it became like an open secret where they could practice and stream on them, but they couldn't say officially that it was a new map pool. People picked up on this last week, and everyone just started talking about it. And then I think ESL was like, oh, you know, whatever, let's open the floodgates. Plus, they're going to be used in the Open Cups, of which Korea does happen Saturday nights. So they had to announce the official maps before that. So it became official. And now we're playing on them in the true prestigious high-level Open Cup, right? It's not Katowice, but it's been a very, very nice testing ground for both maps, patches, as well as for players if they want to experiment with different styles. And second point, I wanted to clarify the engagement. You know, ideally, again, those Vikings engage in the Colossus way before anything gets shot at on the Terran side. They back away, concave back away from the Zealots. The Zealots get burned out. The Archons are still alive. They get kind of more focus fire. They become the only frontline units. And during that entire time, the Colossus are dying, or they're not actually shooting very well. They're shooting an SCV, they're shooting a tank, they're shooting a supply depot. They're walking forward more than they are shooting because the Terran micro is happening. And that just, all of that did not happen for Clem. He was engaged upon before his Vikings engaged on the Protoss. The Zealots lasted longer than one would hope, so they were still helping to buffer for some of the Archon shots. And the Colossus were 90% of the time shooting the heart of the bio. So GG. But it really wasn't about that final engagement. The final engagement was clean for the Protoss, but it was a lot to do with the rest of the game, of which ShoWTimE played very, very well. Bottom left of Ancient Cistern. ShoWTimE. Top right, Clem. It was either this week, or last week, or the week before. But at one of those Open Cups, Clem honestly looked very weird against Protoss. Like, it wasn't really him. He was never in charge of the series. And, oh, it was him versus Max Pax, wasn't it? Is that what the one is? I think that might have been what it was. And now Max Pax is a difficult player because he does have his own unique styles. He does have a very aggressive opener, so I think just kind of style-wise, it's going to be a bit different. We saw Clem do fine against Skillus, more like what would you expect. And then the opposite of that versus ShoWTimE. And part of that is that ShoWTimE took the reins from the beginning with the Proxy Stargate. Now, Proxy Stargate's not exactly the same as proxying a gateway or proxying a robo, where you're just 100%, I am in control, you are defending against me. But it can start it off on the right foot. And then for everything else to go the way that it did, that Clem lost all those SCVs, fell behind by 20 workers at one point, obviously it was a bad sign. And I just don't think Clem does particularly well on the back foot. There are some other Terrans who will make their forced defensive posture look like it was their idea in the first place. You know, like, what, you forced me to go into a third base? No, you didn't. I'm gonna beat you. And Clem just doesn't seem like he has that ability to kind of twist it. Bop it. Knock it. No, he's not got the ability to kind of make it look like I was planning this from the get-go. Clem does seem to need to be in control from the first point of contact in a matchup. So for PvT, you know, that's actually from the very get-go, even with like the Reaper, bunker block, engineering bay block, something like that. Proxies that come down, right? This is a very dynamic matchup. For TVZ, that's like minute 5 and above, assuming the Zerg doesn't cheese you, which is kind of rare anyways. And then for TVT, it's, you know, that also is like the first Reaper push, right? So if he doesn't, it kind of feels like he can't feel comfortable without it. Yeah. Maybe ShoWTimE has also picked up on this. At this time around, he's not going to proxy a Stargate, and we'll see how drastic this looks and its changes. Because we have the non-proxied Stargate, possibly right into a Twilight Council as well, not into Phoenix. And then we're going to have a Hellion Widowmine opener, which also could change who gets whose workers killed. Hellions have been scouted. They run past the Adept. The Adept's going to run in to see if there's 2 more Hellions or 2 more Wood Mines. It actually sees a star. No, it doesn't. Didn't shade in. Which is probably safer. If it shaded in and the Wood Mines are already burrowed, it's dead, right? In this case, yeah, it doesn't see if the Starport's proxy or not, but it saw the Wood Mines. If it's 2 Wood Mines after 2 Hellions, I don't think you ever proxy the Starport with that. I'm sure someone does. So yeah, that's still a good scout. The Hellions never got across the map. They came back, which is pretty nice for ShoWTimE, and I would say this is the first example of Clem not having the game go not in his favor necessarily. It's not like he's already behind by a whole lot. It's not starting off with him in control. I can't put it any other way. And we'll see if it changes. All it takes is 1 good one on drop, right? But ShoWTimE has once again gone into Phoenix, so that hasn't changed. And is even preparing for what looks to be any potential drop coming his way. Clem, because he just got Phoenix, I would doubt he would risk playing a medevac drop into Phoenix again. You'd have to really believe that ShoWTimE loved Oracle and a Twilight Council on this map. Wait a minute, does he know about the Oracle? Wait. I've been focused on so many other things. I mean, he's seen the amount of Adepts at this point, so he must know now. But you know what? That Oracle never revealed itself, did it? My bad. Well, the point is he doesn't go for a drop. So that's good, because it would have died. But Clem is, once again, going into, I mean, like a faster 3rd CC. Yeah, a faster 3rd CC. Not emphasizing a 2 base, 3 racks, push and pull type of game. Ancient Cistern is also a standard map, I want to say. Yeah, I don't remember anything particularly important about it, just noting that it has chokes. This was the one that had no description. I had to make it up, that's right. So yeah, there's nothing notable about this map at all. It is the bland vanilla of maps, apparently. Vanilla can be a really good ingredient, but there are definitely bland vanilla ice creams out there. So, what is the state of the game then? Who is ahead? ZombieGrub, just please tell me who am I betting on? Well, I don't think anyone's really ahead or behind. I do think that this is a game where Clem's less comfortable, but things have not gone topsy-turvy often. He didn't lose 1 SCV and then 5 SCVs and then 10 SCVs and then 14 SCVs and then a Cyclone and then a Viking and then a missile turret got canceled and then whatever. There is actually really very few even tiny things that have happened in this game. So ideally, then, both players power up to their optimal power level. ShoWTimE with a little bit more scouting than his opponent, but still having to respect what he sees with said scout, right? Whereas Clem was maybe a little bit more in the dark, would have to be afraid of a couple different options until he confirmed exactly what his opponent was doing, because Clem really does not have a lot of scouting. He knows it's an Oracle, he knows it's Phoenix, he figures that it's into Colossus, because that happened last game, but he's never saw these gases. He never actually saw the Colossus.
Thank you for appeasing.
He's going to see the 3rd base at this point and see all the gases here, so that's going to pretty much confirm Colossus. And hey, there's a Colossus. Hey, look at that. But, yeah, that was actually his first scout. Imagine if that was Archons and Templars. These Vikings would be canceled, and he'd be like, oh shit! But he is right. He is correct to go into Vikings. And he can afford to go for both anyways, pretty much at the same time, because it was very quick to a 3-base saturated setup. So Lauren SC, thank you for the 10 months. Clem 3rds first, and the Oracle Phoenix at home just in case of mines. It is always the funny dynamic when this happens. Because, yeah, ShoWTimE got so much more done with aggressive Phoenix last game, right from the get-go. But he really hasn't done anything with them in this game. Very different resource units lost trade, right? It's a truly terrible map name. You don't like words that make you think of toilets? Shocking. Well, this might just go ahead and boost on up to 4 bases versus 4. How about that? How about a real true macro game? Oh boy. This Scan of the 4th base reveals it is almost finished, already set up defensively. 1-1 is now also going to finish up for ShoWTimE, of which he did delay Forges heavily to fit in 3 bases, 6 gases, and Phoenix, and... I'm not sure Blink started before his double Forge, but it might have as well. The point is, make up for lost time. Now they're in even upgrades. Dark Shrine's on the way. I guess we can talk about more of the changes then. Could have been going over that. This is kind of, nothing happened in this game. Really, it's 9 minutes. Of the things that have happened, they matter very little at this point. So Disruptor again is slightly buffed from its initial nerf. Still not very much. It might hit 1 more Marine now. Upgrades are also faster for Protoss. That was a couple of weeks ago change. EMP is no longer with an upgrade. It's at about middle of the old base and the upgrade. So better right now, because I'm guessing enhanced shockwaves wouldn't be done, right? But worse as the game goes on. And Shield Body Overcharge is also slightly worse at doing its job. Vikings are more microable. Oh, I actually really did want to pay attention to this, and I have not done that. Whoops. Yeah, Vikings are more microable. Vikings had their damage point severely reduced. Wait. Yes, reduced. They buffed. So now they shoot and fire in more of like, basically more to a Marine, moving away from a Hellion shot, if that helps you visualize it. The Hydras also had a damage point buff, so they became more microable, but those were actually taken back a little bit, but we have no Zergs in Open Cup, so I never get to talk about it. But the point is the Vikings were more microable. Someone in my chat guessed it might be because of TvT, and that very well could be true. I think it actually would impact TvP. So I'm going to be paying attention to that, while also trying to pay attention to other things. Right now we have the typical back and forth trying to get those big shots and clever pickoffs. Clem was maybe not paying attention the entire time, but pay attention when it mattered. He's getting his 4th base up, turned to a planetary 5th and 6th. They're both on the way. ShoWTimE's 5th also on the way. All the upgrades, all the units, all the things. But yeah, Vikings in their... I think you can see it. You definitely need a directed comparison. To be fair, I feel like I can actually see the damage point already change. The way that they move after they shoot is a little less, like, I guess laggy is the word I'm going to use. It's probably not the correct word, but you hopefully get what I'm trying to say. Mass DT is coming into the 3rd base, which there was a bunker, but that's not going to stop all those DTs. 2-2 is also done for ShoWTimE, so it would have been a real anti-timing for Clem to continue to engage. Not to mention that he just would not be able to take care of the Mass DT run by if he did. Fortunately, as he pulls back, those 15 extra seconds give him 2-2 as well. And in fact, give him 2-2-1. Adepts, I believe those are the same Adepts from the early game. Doing their thing. Getting something done. Way to go, ladies. Command Center is going to have to lift and leave. Vikings are actually going to get some free shots on these Colossus. A couple of ghosts go down to the Disruptors, but Clem will not give up on this potential concave, even landing the Vikings, despite there being 1 more Colossus. Alrighty then. Maybe a little overeager. Maybe. DAT is now trying to hit the 4th base, and that should be good. Yeah, that's gonna be a victory there. Nothing that Clem can do about that. If you repair immediately, like even before the DTs blink, then you're probably fine. Repairing after that many DTs blink, I don't think you'd save it. Maybe if they're like 0-0, I don't know. And then otherwise, as the game goes on, it's a late game TvP. You just usually would want a Liberator on that. But no Liberators here. Also now no Phoenix. They get too far ahead of the army. 20 SCVs have been killed. 4th base has been killed, and 5th base is looking to die as well. Disruptor is now creating a zoning problem for Clem, and yet he will be able to push past it. That is most of the Disruptors already gone. Good split to not even get touched by that last Disruptor, and that might be the actual last Disruptor shot. Nope, I was totally wrong. This is why I do not play Terran professionally. I would have died. And now most of them are going to get their cooldown off, so... Clem has to retreat, but, I mean, it's still planetary. Oh, the attempted surround with the DTs. They actually start targeting the planetary, though, so I'm not sure that was actually a surround. Planetary will not be a hold like Clem was hoping. Not enough SCVs to mass repair it. Now trying to defend on that high ground. Vikings again once landed. Reverse that, once again landed. Still have 1 Colossus to kill, my dudes. Obviously these are on purpose, but I do wonder if they're actually smart lands or not. kill that last Colossus, and they absolutely will be. It looks like ShoWTimE is even eagerly awaiting the loss of this Colossus, so the Vikings will land, so they will sacrifice themselves, and then suddenly they'll have 3 more Colossus. Clem is going to be losing either way by the looks of things. Down the base, down by 2. Down in army supply, down in workers. Vikings landing or not landing was the least of his problems. GG, ShoWTimE, clobbering Clem. And I don't know, man. Clem seems to have a bit of a problem against ShoWTimE and Max Packs. They did fine against Skillus.